Hello, this is James Hunter, and it's September 30th, and I wanted to do a video. I recently saw some videos by Jerry Ward and Steve Shaw. I watch their channels from time to time, their videos, and they both made some videos basically talking about arm size and biceps, and essentially how people on YouTube will exaggerate and make false claims in regarding how big they really are. They say, we say how big the bicep is, but really it's all the arm because you measure the whole thing. And so, Steve Shaw talked about 20-inch arms. I'm going to get into that. And Jerry Ward made points about, does it really matter? And so I'm going to talk about that too and put my 2 cents into it. And intuitively, I've always felt the same way as far as people, being full of shit when it comes to reporting how big they are, how much they weigh, and so on. And I weigh 165 pounds. I make no bones about it. So here we go. This is basically, y'all have seen this new device. It's a tape measure for basically getting a snug fit when you measure your biceps, your forearms, and so on. So with me, just to I'm going to talk about perspective on bone structure. And so I'm going to measure my wrist and see where I'm at on my wrist. Okay, let me try to get it. Let me get it on here to where you can see the number. And you can see I'm approximately have a 7-inch wrist thereabouts in it. I got it snug on there, so I basically have 7 inches around on my wrist. So that gives you some perspective on my bone structure. Now, I'm not going to get into measuring my bicep right now. I got some things I have to do, but Jerry Ward made some points about biceps. People, how big they really are. And Jerry measured his bicep. I believe his was 16 inches and a quarter or something like that. It probably would have been bigger if he would have moved the tape measure a little higher. I think he cheated himself a little bit. So his point is that in terms of your aesthetics, what you look like, it's not like if you're at the beach and you have a nice physique, someone's going to say, wow, I wonder how big that arm is. Maybe someone who competes in bodybuilding or powerlifting or a gym rat, they might. But as far as guys are concerned, women, they just notice you look good and that the arm can look impressive. I've seen people with a tape measure wise have big arms, but it did not look impressive. Steve Shaw talked about people with the 20-inch arms. I'm going to talk about that right now quickly. Basically, if you have a 20+ inch arm, it's not likely you're going to be somebody's single-digit body fat, 3, 4, 5%. You're going to be carrying more body fat, and this gets into the IFBB pro professional bodybuilders, professional wrestlers, and so on who make claims. Now, I like Arnold Schwarzenegger, big fan. I followed him for a long time, and I'm 46 years old, so I remember seeing a lot of things in the bodybuilding culture for quite a while now. So if Arnold, the claim is he had 22-inch arms in his prime. Now with that, personally, nothing against Arnold, I don't believe he necessarily had 22-inch arms total measurement. Now, does it matter? No, it doesn't, because his arms look phenomenal. They're very impressive. His bone structure, if you look at that, I want to talk about that in his movies, why later in his movies when he was not as big as he was in competition, he still could look pretty massive on the screen because of his bone structure and his muscularity. So as far as does it matter? No, because his physique is impressive in and of itself. Now, I believe it was Arthur Jones, an article I read, who measured Arnold's arm, and it was actually about 19 3/4 inches when he requested to measure Arnold's arm. Now, if that's cold, could he get it pumped up, 20 or better? Yeah, I believe that. I'm just not buying the 22-inch arm. Leroy Colbert claims to be the first man to ever have a 20-inch arm. And I've looked at, photos and videos and things of different people, comparing them to other individuals whose size is known. And you can kind of get an idea. And I know photos don't always give you all the information, but it is a point of reference that can help. So with that in mind, the wrestlers do the same thing. They exaggerate their height, their body weight, and so on. So with me at 165 pounds, when I've made my arms and flexed, I've had people, how big is your arm, James? And I'm like, my arm is this big, and I'll just flex, it's joking around, like it's my way of just saying it doesn't matter. As far as camera angles and videos and perspective, I have friends, I see them at the gym, and then I see them on Facebook posting their Flex Friday photos. They choose the best angle, and they look impressive. They look a lot bigger. And in person, I see the real deal, you know, live. So I kind of tease him a little bit, like, hey, where'd all your gains go? Because, you know, there is something to be said about camera angles and how you can look. Now, back to bone structure, you look at Arnold in the movie Twins with Danny DeVito. He clearly was past his competitive prime. He still looked good. There's a scene where he takes his shirt off in the convenience store because he's buying that t-shirt that says "Born to be Bad." You know, Arnold still looks good. He's got the nice chest. His arms are good. Impressive physique for his age at that time, and compared to a lot of people, still very impressive. Now, he plays a character in that movie that weighs 235 pounds. Danny DeVito's character calls him a 235-pound virgin. So why can Arnold play characters that are bigger or way more than what he did for the movie? Well, because of his bone structure, his muscularity, and how it comes across on the screen. So he didn't weigh no 235 in that movie. He didn't. He didn't even weigh maybe close to 220 maybe in Conan the Barbarian. I read some biography and some information on that. And he still looked impressive because he was lean and muscular. If you see the movie Total Recall, where he's trying to escape and there's a brace around his wrist, the camera zooms in, you can see a good shot of Arnold's wrist. And you see that bone structure I'm talking about. You know, you get the point, the elbows, the wrist, your ankles, your knees, all that makes a difference in how impressive you can look on screen when you flex muscles in person and so on. So back to what Jerry Ward says, it shouldn't matter. Yeah, we have some standard of measuring where we're at as far as our fitness. So yeah, we can tell we're getting bigger or the quality of our muscle and so on. So yeah, you do pay attention to it somewhat, but it shouldn't be the main focus. You know, don't focus necessarily on an absolute number, thinking you have to be something. Like Steve Shaw said, if you have a 20 or plus inch arm, you're going to be carrying higher body fat. You know, you're not going to be 3-4%, 5% body fat and still, you know, have that and then have that kind of size. When I diet down, and I have been very lean, 3-4% body fat, I don't lose necessarily a whole lot of size because I don't fluctuate the weight a lot for the classes I compete in. But I will say that, yeah, my arms are not as big as when I'm, you know, a bit heavier and carrying a little more body fat. That's just common sense. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that. Don't necessarily get obsessed on the measurements and the claims. I don't think, I think the majority of claims in regard to arm size, chest size, body weights, I feel they're a bit exaggerated, and a lot of that has to do not necessarily always with ego. Some of these guys, they're just trying to market themselves. It does grab attention when you can say you're a certain size. Hulk Hogan did it, the wrestler. He said he had the biggest arms in the world. So he did that. He probably didn't have the arms the size he claims to. So it's just my 2 cents on that. And if you want to check out Steve Shaw's video about, you know, the arms being, he mentioned the 20 plus inch arms, and Jerry Ward's, his thoughts on it, I'll try to put those links below in the comment section. And for fun, if you want to guess how big my arms are on a 165-pound frame, and I'm 5 feet 8 tall, you can. And I don't do YouTube full time. I do make videos from time to time. You might find some of my older videos on here. I'm a licensed healthcare provider in the mental health field, and I'm also have training in the exercise kinesiology field as well. So I'm a pretty rounded wellness professional, and I've done different things over my years. And right now I'm kind of just focusing on different things. But I will try to make videos on a variety of topics and here in the future. So if you do want to subscribe to my channel, I do appreciate that. If you want to leave a comment, go ahead. Or if you just have any questions, I appreciate it. Again, I'll put those links are below. Check them out. Steve Shaw and Jerry Ward, and you'll have a good day.